Okay, it's been a long time. The viewers have been waiting, but Tuck, we're back in the studio for our Week 10 recap. Lineup legends in the house. How does it feel to be back?
Great to be back. Unfortunately, we're doing this right after I lost essentially to you. But yeah, missing a week was meh. But things get busy, and we are back now.
And we're ready to get after it. And I'm most excited to talk about DJ Moore this week after he just tore you apart in our league. So I'm ready to get after it. Let's just go ahead and jump in. Let's start from the top here. Colts, Titans, Thursday night football. Derrick Henry, decent game. Didn't have one of his classic Derrick Henry games. 100 yards, no touchdowns, just one catch in the passing game. And Corey Davis, 5 catches, 67 yards, pacing the Titans. And A.J. Brown with a disappointing game, 1 catch, 21 yards. What are your biggest takeaways from this Titans game?
Biggest takeaway is A.J. Brown with 1 catch is a little concerning. I think he only had 4 targets. He had a touchdown in his hands, I'm pretty sure, and he just dropped it. Would have gone for 60-something yards. But the other thing, I think Dante Foreman is there, and he's taking carries from Derrick. He had 7 carries this game. I don't think it's been a thing in the past. Something to keep an eye on. I mean, it's not going to really diminish Henry's value, but he did get a touchdown on the receiving end, so it's a little concerning there.
Yep. That's interesting to watch. Jeremy McNichols with 3 carries, Foreman with 7. Those guys are kind of just combining to eat into Henry's carries a little bit. Johnny Smith with another quiet game, 2 catches, 14 yards. I think this might be trending towards the norm of what we can expect from him. He was pretty touchdown dependent early in the season, and that's all while A.J. Brown was out. So we've definitely
they are still trying to utilize him. He did get a rushing touchdown, which is different, but he's not being targeted that much. Well, no, sorry, he got 6 targets or something. He's not getting that many receptions, I should say.
Yeah. And then on the Colts side of the ball, I think the big story in terms of the receiving game is Michael Pittman. The rookie, 8 targets, 7 catches, 101 yards. T.Y. with just 5 targets, and next highest was 6, Nyheim Hines. Michael Pittman, do you think he's the real deal moving forward?
I think he's a good player. Yeah, I think they have a lot of options there. Paris Campbell should be coming back any week now. I think it's 2 weeks, and I think he's a big factor in this offense as well. But Michael Pittman seems to be the guy as of right now. Ty has not been getting it done, and Phillip Rivers likes those big guys.
Yeah, I think Pittman should be a top receiver ad on the waiver wire this week.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I see we have a viewer. Hope it's our boy Tony. Say what's up to our viewer. Pop in the comments. Let us know who you are. Moving to the Colts running backs. Jordan Wilkins is not a thing. He had 8 carries, but next to nothing in the passing game. And then Jonathan Taylor, also not a thing. 7 carries, 12 yards. Yikes. Nyheim Hines has another big game. Who knows if he can be trusted moving forward? I think he's worth adding just because what a crazy week from him. 5 catches, 45 yards and a touchdown, as well as 12 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown on the ground. That's just something to watch moving forward. Is this backfield not what we expected once Marlon Mack went down with an injury?
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from this backfield for fantasy purposes. You can add Hines and kind of sit on it, see if it goes anywhere, but it likely won't. He does this. He has these big games, and then he does nothing. So I'm not trusting anyone back there. I don't know about you, Steven.
No, I'm with you there. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game. We have. We'll let you pick, Tuck. What do we want to talk about next game?
Let's go ahead and do Texans Browns.
Okay.
Just because I think this was a really, really fun game. Nick Chubb returns. Has a very good game.
How much did it kill you to see him run that long touchdown run at the end and then run out at the 1 just to secure the win?
That was super disappointing.
That had to have killed you, man.
Super disappointing.
Did you see that live? Were you watching that live?
I did not get to watch that one live, but I have seen it. So
okay, that would have killed you just because you needed those points, man. That's a brutal beat.
Yeah, what a run though. I mean, it bodes well, I think. It just stinks that it was on one of the last plays of the game. Really smart
Yeah.
game decision. Really horrible, awful fantasy decision.
Yeah, good showing for Chubb, and then for some reason Kareem Hunt plays so much better when Chubb's back in the offense. He also has 100 yards, so those guys can be started every week moving forward. Really, nothing worth noting in this receiving game. I mean, Austin
Mhm.
Hooper disappointing. We kind of thought he would return to kind of the prominent role he was carving out, but they just want to go run heavy in this offense, 100%.
Right. That's what they're going to do. These two running backs are great moving forward, both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. On the Texans side of the ball, was expecting a bigger day from Duke Johnson. He had all the running back carries on the Texans, yet only managed 54 yards and no catches. Like that is far below what I expected and what I felt like was a pretty good matchup for him. I know you started him, so you got to be tilting right now seeing him put up 54 yards and no catches.
Yeah, I'm a little bitter. I definitely expected the catches, which is that's for sure where I'm disappointed. Um, and I think this was one of the windier games out there this week. So I think he should have been able to run the ball a little bit more. And there should have been more dump offs, and there just weren't. Um, and I think the win showed in the receiving game. I mean, Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks didn't do anything crazy. Um, I don't know. Hopefully he bounces back next week.
Yeah.
Tony.
Tony, what's up, man? Yeah, honestly, yeah, worth noting that Giovanni Bernard outperformed Duke Johnson. So, thank you for that one, Tuck. I really appreciate it. But
Of
yeah,
course.
so, yeah, disappointing game from Duke Johnson. But look, he's worth starting every week while David Johnson's on IR. So that's a great pickup, whoever was lucky enough to get him. Um, in the receiving game, Will Fuller with a quiet game, 5 catches, 38 yards on 8 targets. Really, nothing else stands out here. Brandon Cooks getting you PPR points, but that's about it. Disappointing day overall from the Texans offense.
Yep, and it should get better for the receiving game moving forward, just in a like a less windy game. Um, so don't give up on those guys or anything like that. Obviously.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our next game. Next up, we have while my page is loading, the Jaguars and the Packers. Packers were lucky enough to pull this one out. It was an ugly one, that's for sure. In this game, Devontae Adams got banged up, but ended up returning, finishing the game. Aaron Jones surprisingly splitting carries with Jamal Williams. Tuck, do you think they're concerned about his health, or do you think that Jamal Williams' play has just earned him a permanent 1B role in this running game?
It could be a little bit of both. I know they obviously want to keep him healthy. I mean, they're moving towards playoffs with every single win. And I'm sure in playoffs they use Aaron Jones to death. But for right now, I'm sure they're just kind of. I mean, they don't need to use him all the time, so might as well give Jamal Williams some carries because he's doing just as well. I mean, it's a little bit concerning for Aaron Jones for sure. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, worth noting, the Packers just signed left tackle David Bakhtiari to a huge contract, and the whole story of the Packers cap space this season has been they're essentially going to have to choose between David Bakhtiari and Aaron Jones in terms of re-signing, because Jones is going to need big money after the season he's been putting out in 2020, and so this I think was a big sign that I think they liked enough what they saw in Jamal Williams during those games with Aaron Jones out to say, all right, we're just going to move forward with him, spend up on the O-line, protect Aaron Rodgers, and then go with our next best guy, running back. I just don't think they can afford any more Aaron Jones after that. They made him the highest paid left tackle in league history, and he absolutely deserved it. And I think that was the right call in terms of their spend. So interesting to monitor moving forward. Maybe they try to continually increase Jamal Williams' role, given that he's likely going to be their starting running back next season as things stand now. That can change, but that's just my take. So if you have him, hold on to him because he could be a valuable keeper for next year.
It is interesting, given the if that were the case, where Aaron Jones, this was his last season in Green Bay, you'd think they'd want to just give him all the carries, just wear him out. But
right. So that's why I'm also kind of on the fence. Like I think maybe the whole injury, they're just like, all right, let's just moving forward, let's just manage his workload more. I don't think they're particularly worried about his calf anymore. He's had plenty of time to rest it, but I think maybe they're like a combination of we liked what we saw from Jamal. We don't think is a huge step down from Aaron Jones. Let's just split this workload, keep both those guys fresh because this is a team that's going to the playoffs. Let's have both these guys healthy in the long run.
Yep. And if Aaron Jones getting 5 receptions a game, he's all right for fantasy, so not too huge of a concern, but keep an eye on it. Jamal Williams could just get more carries on any given week. Who knows?
Absolutely. In the receiving game, MVS exploding for 4 catches, 149 and a touchdown. You know, he has these boom games every once in a while, especially benefiting from when Devontae was out of this game with an injury. Adams turns in a good game, as we still saw, and then Robert Tonyan kind of settling in as a tight end too, as we've seen before. Any other big takeaways on the Packers side of the ball?
That's about it for me.
Okay, moving on to Jacksonville. James Robinson, carrying the team as always, 23 carries, 109 yards, 2 catches for 3 yards in the passing game. Expected a bigger game from DJ Chark here with Alexander out on the Packers side of the ball. But again, this receiving core, it's tough to pick a guy any given week. Your boy Keelan Cole had a nice game, 5 catches, 47 yards and a touchdown. But are you worried about DJ Chark moving forward, or do you think he's, an every week wide receiver too?
I'd still say every week wide receiver 2 to flex option. He had a lot more targets and a lot more. I mean, in the receiving game last week. I think it was just, a meh day for him. I'd call this his floor. 4 catches, 56. So I think he definitely bounces back from that. It's Jake Luton's second game. I'm not gonna go all in on Chark being bad or anything.
Yeah, tough to have any real takeaways because who knows how long Luton's going to be starting. So let's go ahead and move on to Washington and Detroit. Man, this was DeAndre Swift's breakout game. They finally gave him the bulk of the carries, 16 carries, 81 yards, and then 5 catches, 68 yards, and a touchdown through the air. Man, do you expect this is like what we should expect from DeAndre Swift moving forward? Like, it seems like this is going to be a pretty permanent change in their running back usage. Peterson had 4 carries, Kerryon Johnson with 1. What do you think about this backfield moving forward?
It's about time. This is my first comment.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do think this is more or less what you should expect going forward. He did very well against a good defense, and so I don't see why they wouldn't continue to do this. They've always wanted to run the ball, and now they have a guy that can run the ball for the first time and maybe forever. Use him. Yeah.
Reggie Bush. This feels like a changing of the guard and someone I really want on my fantasy team. So if you're lucky enough to have him, hold on to him. And man, I wish this is what they were doing with J.K. Dobbins in the Ravens backfield. You know what I mean? But they still insist on running Ingram and Edwards. But Marvin Jones has a nice game. Hawkinson, I think he was hampered a little bit by that injury. He was questionable coming in. I don't have any other big takeaways on the Lions side of the ball. What about you, Tuck?
Kenny G should be back soon, and that should be the end for Marvin Jones. So
yeah,
I wouldn't really buy into any of those guys.
Mm-hmm. On the Washington side of the ball, Alex Smith, 390 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, comeback player of my lifetime, man. It's so cool seeing him.
Sure.
Who would have thought he'd be the starting quarterback at any point this season, coming back from that injury? So shouts out to him.
So awesome. Yeah.
Amazing story. Antonio Gibson has a nice game, 2 touchdowns on just 45 yards, carrying the ball. Also has 4 catches, 20 yards through the air. He looks to be a nice guy to have moving forward. But the problem is J.D. McKissic is really eating into those receptions. So Gibson, this was definitely a TD inflated game. Like without those touchdowns, he just has 13 carries for 45 yards. But, a healthy 4 catches in the passing game. So I wouldn't get too excited over Gibson's numbers here. He's going to be a little TD dependent moving forward if they keep insisting on using McKissic in that passing role, which I wouldn't expect to change.
J.D. McKissic seems to be the running back to own. I know he's not getting all the carries, but he did get a goal line carry. He got a touchdown. And Alex Smith just checks down like nobody's business. So J.D. McKissic is going to get, he got 7 receptions in this game. He's going to keep doing stuff like that. So, he's a guy I want on my team right now. So if you can still get him, by all means, get him. Your guy Logan Thomas, 4 catches, 66 yards. That bodes well with Alex Smith.
I honestly, as much as I love Logan Thomas, only 6 targets on the day where Alex Smith threw 55 passes. I'm not looking too much into it. Like JD McKissick had 15 targets. It's Terry McLaurin and JD McKissick are the guys who are going to be, get healthy target shares every week under Alex Smith, and that's about it.
Yeah, Antonio Gibson's not a guy I particularly want to start. He's going to look good with these 2 touchdowns. So if your trade deadline has not passed, I think he's a good trade guy to trade.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, let's head to our next game. I'm gonna let you pick this one, Tuck.
Right. Let's go to Buccaneers Panthers.
Okay, Bucks Panthers. You might be a little triggered talking about
the Buccaneers.
Yeah. Okay, kick us off. Let's talk about the Buccaneers. What do you have on their side of the ball?
Ronald Jones, just insane. On this day, 23 carries, 192 yards and a touchdown, 98-yard touchdown. I mean, he almost got caught. He should have gotten caught. The guy tripped, but I mean, that was a great run. I think he fumbled early on in the game too. So I'm surprised they kept giving him the carries. That is an odd thing for the Bucs to do, and they have never done that.
Yeah. Man, I was on record being a Fournette over Rojo guy, but like you just never know. Any given week, it could be one or the other. So if you got either one of them, you're stuck with them on your roster. But it's gonna be hard to know when you can start them.
Yeah. Meanwhile, all the receivers in this game kind of come through, more or less. I mean, Chris Godwin 6 for 92, Mike Evans 6 for 77 and a touchdown. And Antonio Brown 7 for 69. Yeah. What are your takeaways there?
I want Antonio Brown. If it comes to picking one of these guys, I want AB. Just because he looks great and he got 8 targets, second only to Mike Evans. Like I think Brady's just gonna force feed him. But on top of that, Antonio Brown's he's still one of the best receivers in terms of pure talent in the league. So he's the guy I want. But I think all of their ceilings are capped just because there's 4 main mouths to feed in terms of receiving options with Gronk in the mix with those receivers. So I think any given week it's going to be hard to see one of these guys blow up, but I think they are going to be consistently solid options.
Right. So obviously all of their values kind of decreased with the addition of Antonio Brown just a little bit. Did Godwin go down further for you than Mike Evans, or was it actually the opposite and then it kind of just played out this way?
I prefer Godwin to Evans just because Godwin's kind of the target hog that I know Brady likes to have across the middle. So if I'm ranking these receivers, I want Brown, Godwin, Evans. I think Brown is the highest upside just because I think he's the best of them all. But they're all such good options that they're all going to be consistently startable.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that one. If you want to take it to the Panthers side of the ball, you may.
I would love to, Tucker. I would love to talk about the Panthers today. Normally I get really frustrated talking about the Panthers, but let's just start with my favorite guy. I never doubted him. DJ Moore, 7 targets, 4 catches, 96 yards and a touchdown. Oh man. I mean, this had to be heartbreaking for you. I almost sat DJ Moore for DJ Dallas, which would have been the all-time tinkeriest move of my life. And I'm so happy I didn't. I'm so happy I didn't. I would have regretted it forever. I think and then Robbie Anderson only has 4 catches and 21 yards, but he did have 6 targets. So Moore has, I think, more upside on a given week, but Robbie's obviously going to be way more consistent given he normally gets more targets. When McCaffrey eventually does come back, I worry for both of these guys just because McCaffrey is going to demand such a target share like we saw last week. Curtis Samuel, quiet game after breaking out. We'll see what to expect. What do you think about the receiving core moving forward? Do you agree with what I said, or do you think one of these guys is going to pull ahead?
I mean, I still like Robbie Anderson. Sorry. DJ Moore's touchdown was a screen. It wasn't like, I don't know. It wasn't like an end zone.
You say that every week. Week. Because every time he makes a big play, you're like, oh, well, he scored on the big play. Well, yeah, maybe he's just good at football.
Yeah, he is good at football. But scoring on screens is inconsistent, and I don't like that. Like, it's just, and it's shown in his stats where he scores on a screen and he like takes it to the house, and like, yeah, that's a lot of yards and a touchdown on that play, and that looks great for that week. But if he doesn't break through that defense, which is a hard thing to do, if he doesn't do it, then it's like a dud, you know?
I do agree with you because we have seen that play out. Like he has had bad games because he hasn't done that in those games. Like he does depend on the big play, but at the same time, like they're scheming him those opportunities, such as those screens. Like I think he's gonna have those opportunities. I agree. I'm not as in on DJ Moore as I was earlier this season, as you know, but I think you just are not giving him enough credit. And I'm happy he went off against you because you changing your name to DJ Moore's Buns and fantasy, that really I think lit a fire under my team and allowed me to come out with the dub. So I
DJ Moore
appreciate
saw
that.
that personally, and he was upset. Um, I mean, yeah. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Average yards per catch, 24. That is. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't look great to me. He did have another really nice catch down the field though that got taken back
Mhm.
about 30 yards, I think. So I mean, like, yeah, good game for DJ Moore. I just don't see it as a consistent thing that he can do every week.
Yeah, he's definitely no longer the PPR guy that he was last year. That's definitely the Robbie Anderson
Exactly. Yeah.
side of things.
Right.
Quiet game
And
for
that,
Mike
that is
Davis. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just say that's what I prefer is the PPR, like the receptions. The receptions. Give
Mhm.
me the receptions.
Okay, moving on to Mike Davis got banged up. He had a quiet game. I know he was injured for a portion of the game. So, however long McCaffrey's out, though, Mike Davis is going to be a plug-in play, high-end
Yep.
running back to low-end
Has to be.
RB1.
Has to be. Today was a tough defense, but
Yeah.
next time maybe not.
Okay, let's talk about the Eagles. I was eager to see how Jalen Rager and Dallas Goedert would do coming out of the bye week. Rager ends up with 7 targets, leading the team, which I was excited to see. 4 catches, 47 yards, not a huge game. Dallas Goedert also quiet, 4 catches, 33 yards, but he did have 6 targets. Let's talk about your boy Travis Fulgham because we talked about this, and I know you were insisting he would be the guy in this receiving game season long. So do you think this was a fluke, or are you coming around on the fact that there's might just be too many mouths to feed in this offense?
I have not made up my mind yet. I don't like it. I don't like it. 5 targets, 1 catch, 8 yards. He started over Alshon, which is, that's at least a good sign. I don't know. Dallas Goedert coming back. Rager, I mean, they targeted tight ends a whole lot. I want to stay away from it for now, I guess. It's just upsetting because he's so good.
Yep, I get it. But my boy Rager is going to need to break out eventually. So sorry, Fulgham. In the running game, Miles Sanders, great game. I think, he's back. On the Giants side of the ball, Daniel Jones, 244 yards, but also has 9 carries, 64 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. Like, he's low-key a solid rushing threat. That makes him, he's not – you don't want to be relying on him in fantasy, but he does carry a nice rushing floor. Wayne Gallman leads the way with 53 yards and 2 touchdowns here on the ground. And then through the air, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, both getting theirs. Golden Tate struggling a little bit. I know he was questionable for this game just due to discipline. I mean, I don't really care about any of these. Like, I don't have any big takeaways because I'm just not – I don't think these guys are any priority fantasy options. Do you have anything you want to talk about here?
I mean, Sterling Shepard, you can flex. I think he's getting pretty much that every week, 6 catches, 47 yards. So if you need someone dependable in the flex, I think he's going to get about 5-6 catches a week. So, I mean, that's more or less like Cole Beasley. I don't know. And then Daniel Jones, a lot of his rushing yards did come on one long touchdown run. But, I mean, he gets this. It does happen.
Yeah.
Wayne Gallman, two touchdowns on the goal line. That's good to see, but I expect Devonta Freeman to be back soon.
Yep. Okay, let's take it to our next game. We have Broncos Raiders. Tell us about your boy Drew Lock. How did he do in this one?
I made all the wrong choices this week.
Dude, when you dropped Tua to start Drew Lock, I was so happy because I loved Tua this week, and I was like,
in terms of fantasy, Tua didn't do much better, so at least there's that.
Yeah, I was just excited that you put. I personally like Drew Lock as a person, but I was happy to not be going against Tua. So tell us, how did Drew Lock end up playing out for you?
He would have gotten more points than Tua had he not thrown 4 interceptions against the Raiders. Just such a bad game. It was hard to watch, really hard to watch. If he threw a touchdown to at least get me over 10 points for fantasy, but just abysmal. And I mean, his receivers didn't actually do that bad. I mean, Jerry Jeudy and Tim Patrick still kind of came through before Tim Patrick got ejected for throwing some punches. But I mean, just overall disappointing day of offense for the Broncos. I don't think they're going to be that bad normally. Hopefully not. I feel like he shouldn't throw 4 interceptions again, but who knows? I hate Drew Lock. I hate that guy.
Well, it sounds like you're a little upset, so let's just move on. I know you're depending on him this week. On the Raiders side of the ball, Derek Carr, quiet game. Hopefully you're not depending on him. Josh Jacobs has an awesome game, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns, and also has 4 for 24 through the air. Even Devontae Booker has 2 touchdowns, man. Yeah. Everybody eats on the ground today. Man, imagine if they just gave Jacobs though all those carries. Like they give up 16 carries to Devontae Booker. I guess a lot of that probably came in garbage time, but hate to see that if you're a Josh Jacobs owner, but probably not complaining after a performance like this. Darren Waller, I'm sure he let you down. He dropped what should have been a 50-yard touchdown. I mean, that's probably another time when you were absolutely freaking out.
Yeah, just keep listening and let's add it. Yeah, of course. Darren Waller.
You had so many touchdowns called back. Like Drew Lock had a rushing touchdown that I watched happen. I saw the flag and I was like, thank you. No one else really doing anything. Ruggs, Renfro, like none of these guys had good games. So Darren Waller is going to be the target hog there. He's probably the one you want to be depending on.
Yeah, Ruggs and Renfro aren't guys you want to be starting. You can have them on your bench if you really need them, but I would not want them on my roster at this point. Josh Jacobs, yeah, I mean, they ran the ball 41 times in this game, so like clearly they had a game plan. And Josh Jacobs has been getting over 100 yards like almost every week. He's a great play.
Yeah. Okay, to our next game. Chargers, Dolphins. Dude, the Dolphins are legit. I'm so excited by this. The Dolphins are absolutely legit. They win 29-21. And you know what? I picked up the Dolphins defense, excited because they have the Broncos next week. I believe the Jets. And one other really great matchup, like 3 in a row. And I was like, I'll tough out the Chargers this week just to have them for that playoff push. And they did great. I mean, this Dolphins defense seems legit. Holding Herbert to just 187 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, that's hard to do. It looks like Kalen Ballage is the guy right now. 18 carries for 68 yards and 5 catches for 34 yards. Like, I mean, sure. Keenan Allen gets 3 catches, 39 yards, and a touchdown on 7 targets. Look, even though Mike Williams didn't have a great day, he should have had a touchdown that Herbert missed him on. Still had 5 targets and caught 2 for 38 yards. Like, I think Mike Williams is, really carving out a role in this offense, and I think that's good to see. He had 5 targets over 32 balls thrown. That's not bad from him. Just a bad day for this offense overall, though. Any significant takeaways moving forward, or do you think this was just an off week for the Chargers?
Just an off week. I mean, Keenan Allen's been getting 10+ targets a week, and it just didn't come to fruition this week for him. I did drop Kalen Ballage right before game time, though, so that's good. That's great. I think for someone stupid like Richie James, like it was just such a dumb. Why'd I do that?
We get cute, man. We get cute.
I don't know what I'm doing.
But someone I picked up right before the game was Salvon. Do you know how to pronounce his name?
I think Salvon Ahmed. Yeah.
Salvon Ahmed. I grabbed him right before the game just because I saw Jordan Howard was inactive and Matt Breida was inactive. I was like, who are you going to run the ball with? So I was just like, I'll pick him up just to see. Great game. 21 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Gets a catch for 5 yards. Do you think he's a thing moving forward?
Until Gaskin gets back, maybe. It's funny.
For anyone watching right now, Gaskin is Ahmed's backup.
No.
He's injured.
He's injured. No, it's funny because I looked and I saw Breida and Howard were also out, and I went to look at Salvon Ahmed, and who had picked him up but Steven. So it's pretty frustrated.
The worst part is you had so much time to beat me to it. Like I saw 2 hours after, I saw like a while after the news came out. I just woken up. I set an alarm for myself to set my lineup.
Yeah, I had a lot of TV trouble yesterday, so I was getting information late, and yeah, just horrible.
I think,
Anyways,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. I think he might be, if Breida's out again next week, he's a spot start, and then I think when Gaskin gets back, the backfield is just too messy.
Agreed. I think they might even leave him in as the guy even when Breida is healthy. I mean, if they find a guy that they're willing to give 21 carries, they won't do that with Breida. He won't get 21 carries just because he's a glass cannon. But you know, this could be the guy until Gaskin gets back because he did fine. He produced 4 yards a carry. Love to see it.
Yep.
Anyways, yeah, Tua throws 2 touchdowns, only 25 passes. He hasn't really like unleashed his arm or anything like that yet. Another touchdown called back for Devontae Parker. That's also my guy. Just abysmal.
Tough day. I just think, man, this Dolphins defense is playing so well. Like Tua hasn't had to do that much. So right now the receiving options, like he's also spreading the ball around like crazy. Right now it's hard to see any of these receiving options pulling ahead. So until I see otherwise, I'm staying away from starting these guys.
Right, because they just don't have to. The defense is super good. I had someone text me and say, "Oh, Tua's 3-0 as a starter," and I was like, Miami's defense is 3-0 with Tua starting." That's the truth, because their defense is great.
Yeah. Who would have saw that coming? I did not expect that.
Mm-mm.
Let's move on to a game with a crazy finish. Bills Cardinals. I mean, what a play to end the game.
Insane.
Murray connects with Hopkins. Just automatic. DeAndre gets 7 catches, 127 yards and a touchdown. Kyler Murray, 245 yards and a touchdown, but adds 11 carries for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Kyler just an every week smash play. Gets Seattle next week. And of course, you're starting DeAndre Hopkins every week. And good to see Kenyon Drake back as well. He had a nice game himself.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Kyler is just such a good player right now. I mean, he's had at least a rushing touchdown in every single week. I think averaging, anyways. And then he wouldn't have had a passing touchdown had that last catch DeAndre Hopkins in the end zone happened. Just mossed 3 people for the score. Somehow came down with it. I mean, Kyler Murray even tweeted where he was like, "Yeah, Hop's down there somewhere," you know? I mean,
it's a good strategy.
That's what I would do. I know that. I wouldn't be able to throw it that far, but I'm just finding Hopkins.
On the Bills side of the ball, Josh Allen, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, so day, but does add 7 carries, 38 yards on the ground. This backfield continued to avoid 7 carries, 20 yards for Moss, 4 for 15 for Singletary. John Brown goes down after having a decent game, and Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley pick it up. Both of them having really solid games. Cole Beasley, is he a guy you want to start moving forward, especially if John Brown misses time?
Yeah, Cole Beasley's been a guy I want to start because he consistently puts up like good flex numbers, you know, like 12, 13 points. And then apparently he does this 11 catches, 109 in a touchdown on occasion. So yeah, absolutely I want to start him. Like he's a great flex option for me.
Yeah, 13 targets this week.
13 targets, yeah. I mean, especially if John Brown's out moving forward, he's a plug and play man. And this is a particularly good game from Josh Allen, I think. But yeah, start Cole Beasley, start Stephon Diggs, and I think we said this earlier about Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, where we're just not really that interested in starting either of them, and it'll continue to be that way.
100%. Seahawks, Rams. Rams etched this one out 23-16. Surprisingly, Cam Akers, leading the team in carries, 10 carries, 38 yards. Nothing in the passing game, though. Darrell Henderson does get a touchdown. Only has 7 carries, though. Turns that into 28 yards. Man, what do you think of this backfield moving forward? Like, is there any guy you want to trust? Like, do you still trust Darrell Henderson, or with Cam Akers eating into his workload, are you out?
Yeah, I still trust Darrell Henderson. I think he's still the guy. He was a little banged up coming into this one. There was a possibility he wasn't going to play. So I still like him moving forward. I think he'll have a much better bounce back week next week. Cam Akers didn't really do anything with his, quote unquote opportunity. 10 carries, 38 yards. It's not a great showing when he's given the chance. And I think Darrell Henderson has proven he can do better than that when healthy. So I still like Darrell. I don't know about you.
I'm a little concerned just because Malcolm Brown gets 2 touchdowns in this one and has 6 carries himself, as well as 2 catches in the passing game. So for me, man, I'm out on this backfield. Like I think Henderson was fully healthy coming into this. They're coming off the bye. So I'm not too excited. Like I think Henderson still is the best option, but if Akers continues to eat into that first and second down role that Henderson has, I'm definitely concerned about him moving forward.
Yeah, I should clarify. I think Henderson is if you had to start one of them, obviously Henderson would be the one for me. Um, and if you have a better option than Henderson, obviously start that better option. But if you're relying on Henderson, don't go into a week going, oh, maybe I should just pick up some random guy and start him over Henderson, because you shouldn't do that.
Agreed. On the Seattle side of the ball, tough game from Russ. Throws 2 picks, 248 yards passing, does add 60 rushing yards, but super happy I didn't start DJ Dallas because he only gets 2 carries. Alex Collins surprisingly leading the way here. Shouldn't read too much into it. Hyde and/or Chris Carson expected back next week. And then I think on the receiving end of things, most notable is DK Metcalf. Only 2 catches, 28 yards. Jalen Ramsey just had his number, man. Lockett gets open for 5 catches, 66 yards. I think this was just a down day for this offense. I mean, the Rams are a tough defense. Are you reading into any of this moving forward, or is this just write it off?
I think it was the defensive play more than anything. Russ threw 2 picks, no touchdowns. That's pretty uncharacteristic. I think the Rams defense is firing on all cylinders right now. So no, don't read into it in terms of their offense. I think they'll be a lot better when Carson's back as well. That run game makes a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been hearing it's a Thursday night game, so tough to say whether Carson's going to be back, but he was expected back a couple of weeks ago. Who's to say? Maybe he's back this week, or maybe Alex Collins gets another run at that first and second down role, but I don't really want to read into any of these guys.
Yeah. To skip back over to the Rams just for a second. On the receiving side, Cooper Kupp 5 for 50, Robert Woods 5 for 33. This is against a poor secondary, and they should have had a better game. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, seeing that you were starting Robert Woods against me, I was like, man, Woods is going to erupt in this game. Like, yikes. I guess my thinking is the Seahawks have a bad defense that normally gives up a ton of points to the wide receiver position and, of course, the quarterbacks. But, the Rams didn't have to throw the ball that much in this one just because the Seahawks, were struggling against. I think the Rams defense kind of dictated a game script that was a little bit unusual for Seahawks games. I think we normally see receivers go off against Seattle, A, because of Seattle's defense, but B, because game script usually dictates that. But with Russ and the offense struggling, I don't think the Rams had to play as much catch up as we expected. So for me, disappointing game from those Rams receivers, but it makes sense given how this game kind of fell out in a weird way.
All right. So moving on then.
All right, let's take it to Niners Saints. Interesting game here. We see Drew Brees gets a rib injury, leaves the game. Jameis Winston comes in and finishes it up. Saints do get the win, but man, Michael Thomas, what's going on? 7 targets, gets just 2 catches for 27 yards. What do you think about him? Like, is he just a lost cause this season, or are there just kind of growing pains? Is he readjusting to the swing of things?
So I know Brees got hurt, but I'm on the fence about Michael Thomas. He might be a lost cause. I mean, between throwing fits over the offseason and with the team, and then coming in after 10 weeks and playing, it's tough to come into that like just off of that. He hasn't been really a contributor to the offense, and he hasn't needed to be because they've been winning games. So maybe maybe the team has kind of just said he's not the focal point of our offense anymore. Alvin Kamara is. So I don't know. I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah, tough to say. I think, we've seen Kamara just be the focus of this offense as he continued to be today, even with Thomas back. Maybe that's just who they are now, especially with Drew Brees not really looking like the Drew Brees of old this season. I think maybe we can't expect what we've seen from Michael Thomas. I think it's going to end up being somewhere in between last season and how he's been so far this year. Like, I think he's going to be better than 2 catches for 27 yards, but
right.
I think a lot of that will depend on Is Drew Brees going to be healthy? And how long is he going to be out?
Yeah, so pay attention to that injury.
100%.
Dictates the production for Michael Thomas.
49ers side of the ball. God, their running backs are just being dealt blows left and right. JaMychal Hasty broke his collarbone. Jerick McKinnon was ineffective, 18 carries for 33 yards. They cannot get Mostert back soon enough. They're stumbling into the bye week. Luckily, they're going to get Mostert back after the bye, most likely. But this team is hurting. We see Brandon Ayuk get 14 targets, 7 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown. He's going to be reliable as long as Deebo Samuel is out. And Jordan Reed, I think, is worth a look on the waiver wire, given he had 5 catches for 62 yards. Pretty solid performance there.
Yeah, agreed. I think those two are probably the only players in this offense I care to even look at.
Yeah, and they have a bye next week. Jordan Ayuk's probably not on waivers, but Jordan Reed going into his bye week, I don't know that it was enough of a performance to warrant scooping him, holding him through the bye. If you have the room, go ahead, and if you're desperate, but it doesn't seem like a guy I want to wait on during the bye week pinch.
Yeah, only if you are, currently riding with someone like Mike Gesicki, or if Logan Thomas is your guy right now, you might want to think about picking up Jordan Reed.
Lucky.
Consider yourself lucky. All right, Bengals Steelers.
Okay, Bengals Steelers. Man, Deontay Johnson is just a wide receiver, a high-end wide receiver too. Let's just admit that. When he finishes games, he gets double-digit targets. Every game he's finished this season, he has gotten double-digit targets. Turns that into 6 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown. But, worth noting, the rest of these receivers aid as well. Juju with 9 for 77 and a touchdown. Claypool with 4 for 56 and 2. So everybody eats except James Washington, pretty much. This whole offense had a great day. I think all 3 of these receivers are going to be good options moving forward. I do think Deontay is going to be the PPR guy, but really good to see all 3 of these guys producing.
Yeah, all 3 receivers look great. Can't deny that. Deontay Johnson, yeah. I mean, when he's healthy, wide receiver 2, low end probably, but he's there.
Absolutely. James Conner struggling, 13 carries, 36 yards, only gets 2 catches. What do you think's going on with him?
I don't know. His past 2 games, I think, were not very great. I think they're just trying to throw a lot. I mean, Big Ben got banged up a little bit in this game, and he still threw 46 passes. 13 carries is not James Conner's usual. I think he's usually been getting upwards of 15. If they're just decreasing his workload, I mean, he's moving down into that flex range. Running back 3 if he's not really producing, because he's getting a lot of carries early in the season, getting touchdowns. They were throwing close to the goal line. So maybe that was just the script for this game, but he's moving down for sure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. On the Bengals side of the ball, they're playing catch up most of this game. Burrow, 213 yards and a touchdown. Samaj P. Ryan sees 7 carries for 48 yards. Gio gets 8 for 30, but Bernard does see 7 targets in the passing game, catches 4 for just 17 yards. T. Higgins, man, he is an every week wide receiver too. Tyler Boyd turns in a decent game given he had 6 catches, but I think Higgins and Boyd are just every week starters, and Higgins especially has just been so extremely consistent, and now he's starting to kind of develop that ceiling, that we're seeing with, the touchdown over 100 yards. Like, he's really starting to develop into not just a PPR flex, but like a full-on wide receiver, upside wide receiver too.
Yeah, agreed. He's the real deal. I think, he could continue to climb even. Maybe get, eventually, not now, but eventually climb into wide receiver 1 status if he continues to do this,
Yeah, and data shows that second half of the season, rookie wide receivers tend to do significantly better than the first half. So he's a name to watch as, a guy who could be further breaking out even in the second half. Like, I don't think we've scratched the surface with T. Higgins just yet. Yeah,
same. I think he'd be really good.
Okay, Ravens, Pats. Pats win this one 23-17. The Ravens, tough to be put in that position to try and drive down the field and score a game-winning touchdown in just an absolute monsoon. Lamar does have a decent game, salvages it with 55 yards on the ground, but does have 249 through the air, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Same thing with this running back core. They're just completely splitting carries. None of them are going to be able to pull away as it currently stands. But Willie Snead, you weirdly enough projected this the other week when you talked about Willie Snead. Like, I was thinking about that. Like, man, some voodoo stuff went into effect here with Tuck mentioning Snead the other week. But do you have any takeaways from the Ravens offense? This backfield I'm completely out on. Are there any guys you even want to roster in that backfield?
No, I don't think so. Well, J.K. Dobbins, just for the rookie potential that could still happen. You never know, and especially if you play with keepers, I think he could be a good keeper moving forward, which is the reason I roster him. So, other than that, for the Ravens, Mark Andrews finally comes around for you a little bit. 7 catches for 61, which is something I think Mark Andrews owners really needed to see, especially in a rainy game. I think they should have run the ball more. They did not, but whatever. I'm not their coach.
Yep. On the Pats side of the ball, oh, you don't say. On the Pats side of the ball, your boy Damian Harris getting his 3rd 100-yard game of the season. I think he's cemented in that first and second down role. I don't think he's giving it back to Sony Michel, but I'm still not too excited about him because he just has no involvement in the passing game. That's all Burkhead and James White. So Harris is, I guess, a good, if you're desperate, flex at running back, but if he doesn't get a 100-yard game, he's not getting you anything through the air. So I'm not looking to start him unless I need to. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, for big scoring, he'll need a touchdown, and it's hard to depend on that, especially in this offense, which just isn't that great. But he's looking really good. He's getting 22 carries a game, which is something you don't see out of a Patriots running back very much. Flex, probably flex. Flex okay. With upside, I will say, with upside, because he could get a couple catches, he could get a touchdown. So, that's 12.1 points right there on his rushing total. So,
Okay. Cam, decent game, 118 yards and a touchdown, but also gets 21 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Jakobi Meyers, man, 5 catches, 59 yards, but also throws a touchdown. I saw that pop up on my phone. I was like, "You got to be kidding me, man!" Like,
I thought it couldn't be right. I was like, "No way, no way."
I was like, "I swear, if Tucker comes back, I wanted the game to be over before we headed into Monday Night Football. I didn't want you to have any chance. After Calvin Ridley got me 0 when he just needed 2.3, I'll never trust another Monday night lock. Dalvin Cook, I just didn't want it to come down to that. So Myers, dude, I said on this podcast that I didn't want anything to do with Jakobi Meyers, and that's been my worst take of this podcast so far. He's been great. I totally was letting recency bias change my opinion because that offense had been looking terrible, but he's just getting absolutely peppered with targets. So, man, I am in on Jakobi. I think you made a great pick up there. How do you feel about him moving forward?
I feel great. He's going to be the guy, I think, for the rest of the season on the Patriots. And I think Edelman's done for season, right?
He'll be. I think he's going to be a few weeks.
Okay. Well, until Edelman gets back, Myers is the guy. And it's funny because you said you were out on Jakobi Meyers. I added him that week and started him in my flex, and he actually won me my game with 29 fantasy points.
That was crazy.
That was probably the craziest call I've ever made in fantasy football, and it paid off. But yeah, he's good going forward. I really like Jakobi Meyers.
Yeah. Okay. Tuck, any closing thoughts on Week 10?
No, I want to move on from Week 10. It made me sad.
Yeah, tough break for you, man. Welcome to the fringe.
I'm losing going into Monday night, and you have Dalvin Cook. So it's pretty much over unless he has 5 fumbles. I think we're pretty much done there.
Yeah, I saw that Yahoo gives that a 3% chance of happening. I was like, that is way too high.
It's pretty bold.
Week 10
feels good. Not feels good.
All right, well, this has been a good recap. We'll be back at it with our preview, or waiver, depending on what we end up doing. Okay. All right. Well, it's been real, Tuck. I'll talk to you later this week.